Hey there, everybody. It's been quite a while since I've done a live stream. Um, it's 12:39 on a Thursday morning, and I just felt compelled to talk about loving comics once again. Um, haven't announced the stream, didn't invite any guests to be on the stream, but I want to chat. And I feel like it's important to do a live stream on this, and hopefully my subscribers will um, share it, watch it, uh, make comments, like it. And if you're new to the channel and seeing this for the first time, please hit the like button and subscribe. I cover a lot of things. I'm an artist, a musician, a writer, a father, an entertainer, a song and dance man. Now, it seems like maybe I'm a little less enthused than I should be, but it's late and I feel like I'm coming down with something because I've been working hard for a living, um, working hard for my money. Let me introduce myself. My name is Anthony Sika. I'm a writer, an artist, comic creator, musician, and I am going against trash cast and a lot of political stuff and this clip channel and that clip channel, this drama mama channel, you name it. But I am so aggravated tonight, and let me explain why. As I go through my YouTube subscriptions to see what I'd like to watch tonight, as I go into a deep slumber, I go through the list, and of course, um, comic artist Pro Secrets. I'm a big fan of Ethan Van Sciver's artwork and his campaigns and all that. And I'm a fan of his radio voice, his personality. It reminds me of I'm listening to Howard Stern talk about comic books and pop culture on my YouTube channel. Now I love his his style and the entertainment value. However, I'm going to be critical a little bit and say something like there's a lot of great things going on in comics, whether it's indie comics or crowdfunding or what have you. And right now, there's a trash cast going on. And by the way, I find it extremely funny, entertaining, and I have no love for the Ripperverse or any of that, um, any of those shitty comics, or they're not even comics; they're products. I have no love for that. I don't think that anybody that's backing those books or is showing any um, great taste in art or supporting the indie scene whatsoever. And but also on the other hand, I don't believe in giving any more oxygen to something that I'm not into. So the idea that there's 8 million um, YouTube channels and podcasts dedicated to dissing one individual or company or another seems like a waste to me. And then so going through my YouTube, I see people like Wes in Thinking Critical, which by the way, years ago, I used to really value Wes and Thinking Critical and Perch and all those clowns on that. Oh, I mean, personalities on that show, especially when they have their panels. I thought, wow, learning some other perspectives and finding out about new books and things like that. All Wes from Thinking Critical does is exactly what Nerdrotic and all the YouTube zeros do. I hate Marvel. I hate DC. That's it. I hate Marvel and I hate DC. Um, and listening to your boy Zach and his current take on things, I'm seeing a sense of maybe being, two wrongs don't make a right. I'm getting a sense of that everybody online is just hating on things for no reason. And and again, Wes from Critical Thinking, I don't know the man personally. I don't know, but I used to enjoy his takes, his analytic, actually thinking critical and analyzing what he's reading and the comic book industry and all that. And everybody on his team, I appreciated their take on it too. However, lately, it's just been one hate stream after another, and I find it kind of a waste of time. And it's very, very biased and very based and very whatever. It's very subjective, which all art is, but it's almost like they just get pleasure out of personally attacking um, writers and artists and companies and titles. And again, everybody's got their own opinion, but what I'm saying is to just go on and say there's nothing good coming out of Marvel and DC is ridiculous. So let me, for example, some of his headlines of streams 7 hours ago. Fake X-Men fans still drunk on bloodlust from Fall of X. Again, just criticizing the X titles. Let's talk about the stupid Absolute Batman logo from 12 hours ago. Nanny's talking about yesterday Star Wars The Acolyte canceled. No shit. We know. You don't need to go on about it. Now, of course, he had 4,500 views on everybody just stating the obvious. Acolyte was a bad show, and but that's all I'm going to say about it because I thought it was bad or I thought it was poorly done. I watched one episode, the first episode, and as soon as Carrie Ann Moss, the most powerful Jedi on the screen, not in history, not in canon, not in this, not in that, but on the screen, a battle tested Jedi, I don't know, gets killed by like a knife or something after like a 5 minute battle with some whatever, some dreadlock, Whoopi Goldberg looking assassin. I don't know who the fuck she is, and nor do I care. I stopped watching after one episode, and I didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about it with other comic book fans or Star Wars fans or anything. I just don't care. I'm not going to give it oxygen. I don't know whether it's woke or not. I could care less. And I have something really controversial to say. Even woke is subjective. I don't like politics and anything, but maybe it's a political story. And what are the politics and the sexuality and the race and the whatever from an alien show in a galaxy far, far away? What does that have to do with conservatives and liberals and all that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I digress. So, um, yesterday, also Thinking Critical on Wes's channel ran a story called Race Swapped Black Cat and Hulk. And then something about, Harrison Ford doing the MCU no favors. And then the thing that really annoys me, and it's funny because I heard your boy Zach Richard C. Meyer talking about this earlier today when I was listening to him. He was talking about Tom King and all that the boys on Thinking Critical do is hate on Tom King. Um, and, you know, Michael Bendis and Brian Michael Bendis, and they pretty much hate on everybody. Um, Jason Aaron this, Jason Aaron that. It's like I don't I don't understand like where the hate's coming from, other than that I have one person watching right now and they have hundreds. So, there you go. But and I just lost them. And that's okay. Because I'm going to tell you what the only story, in fact, and 3 days ago, the most disappointing comic book of 2024, bar none, bar none, bar none, the most disappointing comic book of 2024 was Wolverine Revenge, okay, from Brian Hickman and Greg Capullo. Now, they went on a 16-minute tirade about how shitty the book was. And I don't know. I read the same book. Starts out, Wolverine is fighting some dinosaurs in Savage Land, riding a Triceratops. I don't know about you, but Greg Capullo drawing Wolverine riding a Triceratops is fucking cool. And I give the book a 8 out of 10 just for that. It's like 4 pages in the Savage Land fighting dinosaurs. Give me that all day. Okay. Comic books are entertainment, folks. But we'll get into that. I digress. See, I didn't plan any of this. I'm just talking live off the fucking cuff. No plans, no directions, just winging it. So, all these stories online, whether it's Trashcast or Eric July this and Eric July that, and who called Matt Barr this and who called Ethan Van Sciver that, and the Acolyte this and Acolyte that, and the bat logo is terrible, it's a square, whatever. Y'all missed a fucking big story today. Excuse me, yesterday, because today's Thursday, but Wednesday. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Fucking ashamed of yourself. Because while all you people, and when I mean you people, I'm not insulting anybody, but while all you YouTube personalities, you kings and queens of the indie scene, you detractors and you ripitards, and you thinking critical people, and you overthinking critical people, and this and that, perchy doodah, and all these folks, you're missing the real story today. And the real fucking story today, comic book fans, comic book tourists, creators, whatever. Today was Jack Kirby. Excuse me, not today, but an hour ago, Wednesday. It was Jack Kirby's birthday. That's right. You ever hear of that guy, Jack Kirby? Created the whole entire Marvel universe with a fucking pencil. Okay? Along with Stanley and Steve Ditko and whatever bullpen was around in 1962 when the Fantastic Four #1 came out. Fucking Jack Kirby's birthday. And you're all sitting around talking about $5 books and how much Wolverine Revenge sucks and how woke and depressed and psyops Tom King is doing and how he's ruining Wonder Woman. Everybody talks about how everybody's ruining everything. Kathleen Kennedy's ruining Star Wars and Marvel's ruining the MCU movies and whatever and whatever. You know what? I saw a picture today of the set of Fantastic Four, and it was the Thing, and it was a suit. So it looks like they're using some practical stuff, along with probably some CGI enhancing, to make the Thing resemble the Thing by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, and later people like John Byrne, and John Romita and John Buscema and Joe Sinnott and George Perez and all the great artists. I bet half the people watching this stream don't even know who the fuck half of those people are. And if that's the case, you should be ashamed of yourself. Okay? Because you can take all your Peach Momoko variants and your Adam Hughes variants and your I don't know, the guy who makes everything look airbrushed, Japanese guy, all these folks. Take all your variant covers, take all your collectibles, take all your carpet bag and comet things that you buy and collect, and shove them up your ass. Because if you don't know that today was Jack Kirby's birthday, and it was the biggest story today, Jack Kirby's birthday, then you should be ashamed of yourself. You shouldn't even say the word comic book shouldn't come out of your mouth. And you especially shouldn't be critically thinking about anything. If you're going to go make a video about how shitty the new run of X-Men is, and you don't know that the creator of the X-Men, that it was his birthday today, the king of comics, Jack Kirby, then you should be ashamed of yourself. But I'm not here to shame anybody. I want to talk about how much I love comic books and how today is a wonderful day because I can honestly look in the camera and say, I do this for the love of comic books, not for the hate, not for the angst, and definitely not to take out the trash. Although there's a lot to be taken out. Okay? A lot. There's a lot of trash out there. But mostly, it's the mindset that everything sucks. Because everything doesn't suck. I'm a huge fan of Comicsgate creators. Okay? However, I'm also a big fan of the work they did when they were at the big two, or Image Comics, or Dark Horse Comics, or wherever they were paid from, or they contracted to, or they did work for. I'm a fan of their work, whether it's 1999 or 2019. Okay, I fell in love with comics again when Green Lantern Rebirth came out in the early 2000s. That was a 2005, 6, something like that. I hadn't bought a comic for years until I saw Ethan Van Sciver and Jeff Johns' Green Lantern Rebirth. And I love Cyberfrog. And I love She. I got a big She poster hanging on the wall there with Mr. Tucci's autograph on it. Okay. I got Cyberfrog toys underneath the that Fathom poster, which, by the way, that Fathom poster is signed by Michael Turner. And, over here, I got some original art by Georges Genti, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And that's from a book written by Joss Whedon. And you know what? I love Joss Whedon. I don't care. I don't care that he made a bad Justice League movie. I don't care that, leading actresses came out saying that, oh, he was inappropriate and he said some bad shit to us and whatever. You know what? Those same actresses, no offense, have been have had no work for years other than conventions, signing Buffy the Vampire Slayer memorabilia and photos and doodads. So they have their entire career thanks to Joss Whedon. And by the way, I don't know what planet you're from, but bosses suck. Okay. So if you're a, showrunner and a creator and a director and a writer and all that, and you're paying actors and actresses, thousands of dollars a week to make a TV show on the CW or whatever it was at the time, WB. Yeah, you can tell them whatever that you want, and you can be aggressive or whatever, so they do their fucking job. Okay, no actress or actor that was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer who now have amazing careers because of it should be saying shit about Joss Whedon, but that's just my take. Now, getting back to Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby created the Marvel Universe, created it. And that is the most important story today. Created the Hulk, Thor, not the Norse mythology, but the Marvel Thor and the whole world of Asgard in the Marvel Universe. He created the Fantastic Four, Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos, Captain America prior to Marvel. He created the Avengers, Iron Man. If I said that already, I apologize. He created half the Defenders, Silver Surfer, Doctor Doom, again, the Fantastic Four, 1962, the First Family. I love Jack Kirby so much that I have a whole long box of just Jack Kirby drawn stuff. Jack Kirby drawn and written stuff. He created Black Panther. The list goes on and on. The Eternals. Jack Kirby. I'm confused. I'm confused because the Eternals is a great comic book. A revered, loved Marvel type. I mean, by the way, these comics I'm grabbing just happen to be on my shelf back there. Like, that's how many Jack Kirby drawn comics I have. These are not even good copies. These are like crap copies that I just leave around for reference. There's another Eternals. Okay. The Eternals came out in like 76. Was made into a motion picture starring like Angelina Jolie and Salma Hayek, dude from Game of Thrones, and yada yada yada. The Eternals, hot take, in my opinion, it's a fantastic movie. Was it your typical comic book Avengers building movie? No, but I loved it. And, but, it was woke. Female director is woke. One of the Eternals was gay. One out of like nine of them or eight of them. Okay. The battle scenes, the fight scenes in the Eternals. By the way, the movie starts, let me break down for you, with a battle. The Eternals versus the Deviants. Badass 5 minutes of fighting. And then, as the movie fades to black and the Marvel little comic credit comes on for Marvel Studios, the movie opens with Time by Pink Floyd. 5 minutes into the movie, I'm sold. I got a battle versus the Deviants with all of Jack Kirby's characters. And I got Time by Pink Floyd opening a Marvel movie. You got me. I'm good. Take my money. It didn't do well. So, all you folks who have complained over the years about Stan Lee taking some shine, some credit, some glow away from Jack Kirby and his contributions to the Marvel universe, fuck you. They made a movie, all Jack, and you didn't go out for it. You didn't support it. And that's fine. Okay. I thought it was great. Celestials in it. There's a hand sticking out of the ocean that I guess they're going to talk about in the new Captain America film. And by the way, the new Captain America film with the Red Hulk and all that shit. There are videos out there talking about how bad it is. The movie hasn't come out yet. I mean, it's not out yet. It's not out yet. Thunderbolts. All the videos are like, how is this going to work? How much money do you think they're going to lose? It's not out yet. Joker 2. It's going to be woke garbage, musical Lady Gaga. Harley Quinn isn't the Harley Quinn from the comics. The Joker is not fighting Batman. Folks, all these comic book creations, they're not real. They're not real. They're lines on a piece of paper. They're not real. Okay? So, all the criticism about an absolute power Batman, whatever it's called, absolute Batman, excuse me, it's got a square logo with some little bat shapes on top and bottom. And it's going to go on a spear or, a rod. So it's actually a bat-talax. Get it? Battle-axe. So I guess it pulls off his chest. And that makes sense. Because if you look at it in the pictures, there's like bullet holes and scrapes on it and stuff. So maybe it's like a bulletproof vest. And then Batman can take it off and use it as a weapon or stick it on a staff and chop some people up with it. And I'm looking at a video right now by Thinking Critical that says, with the headline, with the graphic, it's a picture of of Scott Snyder. It's fucking stupid. And it says, let's talk about the stupid Absolute Batman logo. Folks, it's just a fucking logo. And you know, the guys on that show, the guys on a lot of channels, they're like, Batman wouldn't do this and Batman wouldn't do that. And Tom King or Gail Simone or Marv Wolfman or Len Wein or whoever, they're not handling Batman right. Okay, Batman doesn't exist, okay? He doesn't exist. He's a fictional cartoon. And Bill Finger Bob Kane had him with little glovies and a gun shooting and killing people in the first few issues. And then the 1960s, mid 60s had this campy, corny ass Adam West inspired Batman. It's not real. I don't Everybody talks about how Tom King ruined Batman. And then Tinian came on and wrote a good Batman, but then ruined it too. And then Joshua Williamson and blah, 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 blah. And Frank Miller's the best. And Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams and blah, blah, blah. Guys, it's a fictional cartoon. It's a character. He's not real. He's not Val Kilmer or Christian Bale or Ben Affleck. And he's not Jeff Johns' Batman or anybody's Batman. He's not real. Brian Michael Bendis, not Tom King. No one, the Batman is not a real person. These are comic books. And I'm gonna be transparent. I'm 53 years old. I've been reading comic books since I was 6. Okay? A million different Batman writers. Everyone writes it differently. Everyone presents Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn and the Joker and Catwoman. They present them differently, but it's still the same shit. Okay? Batman is just a character. It doesn't matter what his costume looks like. It doesn't matter how pointy his ears are. And the fact that Snyder and the artist name escapes me, the fact that they're even taking a swing on portraying Batman differently, that's what Grant Morrison and Frank Miller did. And it worked. And that's why we have Batman. That's why Batman is as popular as he is today. And is why the book always sells. It's Batman. The logo doesn't matter. The cape doesn't matter. It's not the Batman in present continuity. It's an Elseworldsy whatever Batman. Who cares? I don't understand why you would get hung up on Batman and what his costume looks like. It's dumb. It's really dumb. When the book comes out, judge it on what it looks and reads like, not about what Bruce Wayne looks like. Who cares? It's if you want Jim Aparo Batman or Don Newton Batman, whatever, Neil Adams Batman, or Tony Daniels Batman, or David Finch's Batman. All you gotta do is go to the comic book store and buy it and look at that. Frank Miller's Batman. When writers, creators, filmmakers, musicians, dancers, painters, etc., when artists make new things with existing characters, they don't make the old things disappear. Okay? When Paul McCartney makes a new album at 70, 80 years old, however old he is. He doesn't make Band on the Run, Live and Let Die, Long and Winding Road, Michelle. Um, he doesn't make any yesterday. He doesn't make any of that stuff disappear. He's just creating new stuff. But guess what? It's still his voice. It's still Paul McCartney. You get my drift? Bob Dylan, Blood on the Tracks, sounds nothing like Bob Dylan's Time Out of Mind. Sweet Emotion by um, Aerosmith does not really reflect or sound like Janie's Got a Gun or Love in an Elevator. I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss doesn't really resemble She from Kiss. Um, Motley Crue's new song, Dogs of War. It's still Motley Crue, I hate to tell you. Tom King's Batman is no different than Denny O'Neil's Batman. What's different is the story he's telling and the tone of which he's telling it in. So, I'm going to tell you honestly again what my biggest problem in the world is, to quote a popular YouTube channel. My biggest problem in the world is, while all you folks are bitching about the state of comic books or the unrest of comic books or what you like and you don't like, I'm going to tell you what I like. I like Jack Kirby, the creator of the Marvel Universe. Whether it's Captain America, whether it's this kick-ass copy of the Eternals that I just happen to have right here, whether it's Topps Comics Night Glider, or how about Captain Victory, Commandy, Miracle Man. Speaking of Miracle Man, New Gods. First family of comics, Marvel, Fantastic Four. I don't even know what this issue is. It's a giant size reprint of an annual. But hell, man, Fantastic Four. And all the creations within Doctor Doom, Silver Surfer, Galactus, New Gods. I mean, really, Orion. Speaking of Orion, Master of Puppets, totally different song than Enter Sandman. Orion, see what I did there? Metallica. The band's been around like 40 years, if not more. You can't walk on water twice. You can't just keep rehashing the same old shit. However, it's like Star Wars. Hot take. Love New Hope. Love Empire Strikes Back. Hate Return of the Jedi. Don't like it. Never have. Never will. And I saw it the day it opened in 82 or whatever. I saw The Empire Strikes Back the weekend it opened. I saw Star Wars the month it opened. I was there. I sat online. I waited. I watched Superman when it came out. All the Rocky movies, all that shit. I was there. I was online in New York waiting to get a ticket at the age of 10, 11, 12, whatever. Some of those movies are fantastic, but technically, cinema, all this stuff we talk about when we're judging art, some of it doesn't hold up. Okay. Stanley Kubrick movies are much better than George Lucas films, in my opinion. However, they're not as exciting. Okay. That's like saying Neil Adams and John Byrne are much better than Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld. Well, that it probably objectively may be true, but guess what? I really like Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld a lot. And you know why? Because and John Byrne is fantastic. Okay, and Neil Adams too. I I love John Byrne. Okay. However, art is subjective. And anyone that criticizes someone like, say, Rob Liefeld, which people like to hate on all the time, people I know personally, good friends of mine even, they're like, oh, Rob Liefeld was terrible. Blah, blah. You know what? Rob Liefeld is one of my favorite artists of all time. And you know why? Because Jack Kirby is my all-time favorite artist. Now, what do I mean by that? These are cartoonists. They're not putting photography on a page. They're not in an anatomy class. I would rather buy a Rob Liefeld comic book, interiors and cover, 9 out of 10 times over, say, an Alex Ross or a Adam Hughes. And again, nothing against Adam Hughes or Alex Ross, or even Ethan Van Sciver or, say, Brian Boland. I just like I like the way I like the way Rob Liefeld presents action. I like the way he draws exaggerated things, just like Jack Kirby did. Just like people that draw anime and manga and all that shit. Exaggerations. Because what it is these comic book artists from the 90s and 70s and 60s, they had a style. Just like Greg Capullo has a style. By the way, getting back to Greg Capullo. So I've heard some people slagging on the Wolverine Revenge. And again, I digress. The book starts out with Wolverine. This is the red band edition, by the way. It says not approved for appropriate audiences. I guess not for kids or whatever. But to be honest with you, all I saw was a couple of like bloody scenes of the normal violence that's in any Wolverine comic. So, but the story starts out with Wolverine's fighting in the Savage Land, and a shield helicarrier picks him up and tells him that a electromagnetic pulse was detonated when Magneto's asteroid hit the Earth, and it pretty much knocked out all communications and technology and all that stuff. Yeah, to me that sounds like heaven. I wish that happened right now in reality. So cool plot. I think Captain America and somebody else is on the ship with Nick Fury, and I see Dum Dum Dugan in the back and a bunch of people like that. Anyway, Captain America and Wolverine, they go down to go against the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants because they have some device that can help fight this EMP that took out the world. And I don't know, they put bombs inside them, like Suicide Squad style, which I thought was kind of corny. But then they blew up Captain America and whoever else had the bomb put inside them. And then, spoiler, they blew up Wolverine too, and he was blown to bits. But then his regenerative power made all his guts come back together like Deadpool does. He turned his looked like a toxic Avenger Wolverine, all naked, just like his flesh. His eyes weren't formed yet and stuff like that. Very metal, very Great Capullo-esque, very horror like Spawn, like Capullo's work on Spawn. So good book. Good book. The art was good. The story was, but it's Hickman and it was intelligent. And Nick Fury sounded like Nick Fury. And when I mean sound, I mean reading it. It sounded like the characters. Yeah, and they blew up Captain America and someone else who I don't remember in the story. But who cares? It's not like reality. It's an Elseworlds type thing. It's an alternate, ultimate type story. Has nothing to do with the present continuity or the canon or whatever. But it was a cool idea. And again, I recently watched a Kari Andrews uh, interview with the guys from Critical Thinking, Wes and them, and he said something that really took notice, is that whether something goes over well or doesn't, it's good that people are taking notice of it, um, because that's success in itself. Because if you didn't take any risks or no one was talking about your book in a negative or positive way, then it's under the radar and it's gone. It's not selling and no one's talking about it. It's gone. So Tom King, I'm not Tom King, excuse me, Scott Snyder, doing with this book with Greg Capullo, Wolverine Revenge, is fantastic. And by the way, no, it's not Eisner winner. It's not a billion. It's not the best comic I've ever read, but you know what? It's good. And it's entertainment. And it's worth sitting down on the toilet and reading. It keeps your mind occupied. It's got great artwork. Greg Capullo's back at Marvel doing some work. So there you go. Speaking of Kari Andrews, Spider-Man Reign 2. No one asked for it. No one needed it. But goddamn, I'm glad we got it. God damn. This is why I love comics. I don't care if it's indie or Marvel. I don't give a shit what it is. I don't care if Kari Andrews is a transsexual Martian thespian liberal from Jupiter. I don't care what he believes in. I don't care what religion he is, what color his skin is, who he sleeps with at night or doesn't sleep with at night. I don't care what manga he watches. I don't care if he buys Mark Millar stuff or Rob Liefeld. I don't give a shit about any of that. I'm not going to hang out with him this weekend. I'm not on the phone with him. I'm not even doing an interview with him. But man, this shit is the bomb. Okay. Spider-Man Reign 2. There's 2 issues out, third one coming out. It's on my pull list every fucking month. And again, see that? That makes me love comic books. And again, if you're a supporter of indie comics, okay, you do not need to complain about how long it takes for people to fulfill their campaigns. When it's done, it's done. And if it's a good quality, then you got your money's worth. And if you're a comic fan, stop listening to people on the internet, myself included, and go to a local comic book store and find some alternatives there too. Because if they're not at Marvel and DC and Image, you can always find alternative comics, even if it's just back issues. Support comic book stores, okay? Just because you're indie, you're Comicsgate, you're Rippaverse, you're whatever the fuck you are. Just because you subscribe to that kind of thinking doesn't mean that you can't buy a Marvel, DC, Image, Dynamite comic now and then. Okay? Do it. Support comic book stores. Because if you don't support comic book stores, because let me tell you something, there's a lot of indie people in comic book stores too. Okay. And if you're doing that, if you're not supporting the local comic book stores, and I'm not talking about Barnes and Noble, I'm talking about local comic book stores. If you're not subscribing to at least one title a month or whatever, then you really don't love comics. You're just an old guy or girl on a lawn, middle aged, screaming about, remember when? Yeah, I remember when. I remember when Image was putting out a million titles and only four of them were really worth reading. Okay. I remember when, um, before Apocalypse, in between Image Boys and leaving and the X-Men Apocalypse stuff, I remember like 30 or 40 issues of Marvel that just sucked. Okay. I remember all that. But you know what? I also remember Strangers in Paradise and Cerebus and Witchblade and Fathom and Danger Girl and Gen 13 and Wildcats and The Authority and Swamp Thing and Sandman and all the other shit that was great. I remember all of that. And you should too. Okay? In the past, no one has erased the comics of the past. For example, Shane Davis, John Malin, and Ethan Van Sciver don't work for DC anymore or Marvel. But you know what? You can go to any Barnes and Noble or any comic book store and pick up Green Lantern Rebirth or Flash Rebirth or what is it, Superman Year One or Youngblood or whatever. Okay, all this stuff is out there. Okay, it's all out there. No one's erasing it. No one's throwing it out. If you don't like the new Acolyte show, that got canceled and everybody knew it was going to get canceled anyway. If you don't like it, or you don't like Clone Wars, you don't like the Star Wars Force Awakens, whatever, go back and watch the first three. And like I said, I don't like Return of the Jedi. I think it's a shitty movie. Except the first 10 minutes with the Jabba stuff. And Phantom Menace, terrible. Okay. But Revenge of the Sith or whatever it's called, where you got the lava fight, it's one of my favorite films. Okay. It's right up there with Empire Strikes Back. But that's me. That's what I like. Doesn't mean you gotta like it. Maybe you like Ewoks. Ewoks are not my bag, man. I thought they were cheesy back then and looked like Muppets. And I was like, wow, let's jump the shark. Okay. So, like what you like. I'm telling you, Spider Man Reign 2. If you're not reading it, you're missing out. Also, X-Men are getting a lot of crap. Okay. Literally critical thinking, and I'm picking on them specifically because they don't say anything critical anymore. They just hate. They're like, Ryan Stegman's art looks terrible, the worst he's ever done. What the fuck are you looking at? This artwork is the same style that he did with all those Venom titles. Exactly. The Donny Cates Venom, all the Black Knight, Black Lord, whatever the fuck titles they were. Ryan Stegman's work on this book is fantastic. It's as 90s as you get. So these are all these people online talking about how much they love the 90s. Look at that. That's Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, Todd McFarlane, and Rob Liefeld all wrapped up in one. And speaking of Rob Liefeld, keep buying Rob Liefeld shit. Rob Liefeld has like a Deadpool team up book coming out this week. Looks fantastic. Fantastic. Stop bitching about the big two. Go into your local store and buy like one title. No one says you want to buy, Ms. Marvel or anything. But damn, the new X-Men book with Ryan Stegman and Jed McKay looks great. And by the way, Reed's great. I got the first two issues. I loved them. Okay, it's not. You're never gonna get Claremont, Byrne, and Austin back. You're never gonna get Stan Lee and Jack Kirby back. You're never going to get Jim Steranko back. You're never going to get Neil Adams Savage Land back. So, but that doesn't mean that Cyclops and Wolverine and Psylocke and Gambit doesn't mean they don't exist. Go pick up an X-Men, whether it's Jed McKay or Gail Simone X-Men. Pick one up, read it, or better yet, browse it while you're at the stands at the comic book store and decide for yourself whether you like it or not. Don't listen to what anybody says. Don't listen to what a comic skater says. Don't listen to what a wokey lefty says. Don't listen to what I say. But go look it up, judge it for yourself. I love it. 2 issues in, I like it. It reminds me of, Chris Claremont, Paul Smith, John Romita Jr. X-Men. Doesn't resemble the X-Men of the Jim Lee era or Mark Silvestri era either. But it's got a 90s feel. It's got a early 80s feel. Pick it up. You might like it. And by the 4th issue, if I don't like it, I'll stop reading it. It's that easy. It's $3.99. It's not $35. It's not $200. It's not whatever. It's a trip to a store, and it's $3.99 or $4.99. It's pocket change. It's a happy meal. Okay? And if you don't like it, don't read it. But don't say the comics are dead and Star Wars is dead and the MCU is dead and all. They're not dead. But you know who's dead? Jack Kirby's dead. And we should have celebrated his birthday yesterday instead of talking about all the shit that we were talking about on YouTube. Okay? Jack Kirby deserved a YouTube video. Jack Kirby deserved a headline. Jack Kirby is the reason we're even having these discussions. Jack Kirby is the reason why you're making money on YouTube with all your negative shit. You wouldn't be talking about MCU films if Jack Kirby had never existed. That's fact, Jack. That's not subjective. Jack Kirby's the reason why I'm wearing this t-shirt. Jack Kirby's the reason why I create comic books. Speaking of that, Misty America fulfilled. I started Misty America in June. Was done by August 1st. 24-page book, Misty America, 2nd issue, from Wild Mercury Comics. Really good stuff from me. If you haven't picked it up, you live in Florida, you can find it at some comic book shops. And if you want an issue, you can hit me up on Facebook, YouTube, social media, Instagram, all that. Here's some pictures from Misty America 2. You can see a Jack Kirby Crackle influence. You can see a definite Rob Liefeld, Tony Daniel influence. Some ripetard criticized me online when I showed off my artwork after criticizing their 3D bullshit acid artwork, and said, why does his draw head so big? Pick up any J. Scott Campbell, John Stinsman, Tony Daniel, you name it. Steve Ditko. A lot of 90s Madeira. They had their own style, and they drew their own style. No one should be drawing comics anatomically photoreal correct, because then they're not a comic. artist, they're a fine artist, or they're a painter, or they're photographic renderings. Stop. Just fucking draw like you draw. Very soon, like in the next day or so, I'll be launching Venerella. It's Venerella 1. Venerella 1 by Tim Tyler, a good friend of mine. Another variant of Venerella 1. And then there's Venerella 2. I'm going to be launching Venerella sometime this weekend on Indiegogo. Hopefully you back it, pick it up, blah, blah. Venerella 3, I'm talking about. Here's some artwork for it. Here's some covers. Bristol board 11 by 17. These are comics, folks. Comics drawn on real paper with real ink. I love making them. Speaking of Tim Tyler, just picked up this Bolt Action. Fantastic. Fantastic book. My God. This is the coolest book ever. This comic book follows, it's like a Twilight Zone kind of like it's a different stories in one book, and it's a bunch of characters, and they're in like a theater, like a grindhouse theater, showing different movies, and through those movies and the characters that are in the grindhouse type theater at the Bolt Theater, we have a series of Tales from the Crypt type horror sci-fi stories. It's amazing. Tim Tyler is an amazing artist, outlaw indie artist, real outlaw indie artist. Worked with Tim Vigil, Tim Truman, Everett Hartsow. This is my inspiration. Okay, Rat House Comics. Go look him up, Tim Tyler. He is an artist that is a friend of mine, and he works on. He does covers for me also sometimes. Bolt. You can pick this up in comic book stores. You can pick it up at conventions. And you can go back him on Kickstarter or whatever he's on, or his own website. This is an indie comic, folks. This is an indie comic, folks. There's a lot of indie comics out there that I would say aren't really indie comics. Okay? And they don't have the spirit of indie comics. And they don't have the love of indie comics. And that's a shame. Because every one of those comic artists, those comic creators, they should be celebrating Jack Kirby's birthday today. Jack Kirby's birthday. Not criticizing the new Batman logo or the Acolyte. Tom King. This is a controversial take. This Wonder Woman book, I don't know what the fuck people that are critiquing this book on a daily basis are talking about. First of all, Daniel Sampier, his artwork is beyond reproach. It is so good. I mean, yeah, and it's typical Tom King. The story, the dialogue, it's typical Tom King. Okay? And the artwork is fantastic. If you don't like Tom King, then you're never going to pick up his book. If you didn't like Tom King's Batman, but you really liked his vision and his Miracle Man Then why are you hating on a book that you haven't read? This book, Wonder Woman, by Tom King and Daniel St. Pierre, I've loved every issue. I don't care that he's deconstructing Diana. I don't care if it's not like Wonder Woman that George Perez did. It doesn't matter. It's not, it's new. I don't understand what, it's a comic book. It's not a fucking person. Tom King doesn't know how to write the Batman and Diana and Superman. Well, they're not real. So who are you to say how they should be written? What their ideals are, what their creeds are, what they would do in a situation. They're fictional characters. Okay? And regardless of what your past experience is with them, they're still fictional characters. So what are you talking about? They're fictional. They're not real. They're not even actors. They're lines on a piece of paper. They're drawings. They're not saying anything until someone writes a word on a piece of paper or the letterer finishes the page. What are you talking about? They're not real. People talk about critics are talking about the Tom King Wonder Woman like it's their ex-girlfriend. She's not real. Okay? Just buy the book or don't buy it. But don't give it negative oxygen. Don't give it any more oxygen. And again, the Kari Andrews said on an interview with Thinking Critical Cast, he said, if people are talking about it, then the art is doing something. It's like when the Beatles, they went from the She Loves Me and I Want to Hold Your Hand to all of a sudden I Am the Walrus. And at first, people pushed back on the psychedelic stuff. And you know what, though? If they didn't, then it's not worth listening to in the first place, right? Musicians, songwriters have to experiment. Writers, comic book artists, writers, they have to experiment. Anyone who critiques an art style by, say, Jack Kirby or Rob Liefeld, but then they talk about how much they love Mike Mignola, you're just full of shit. Because Mike Mignola, Keith Giffen, when he changed his style, that is some of the most abstract, impressionist, retarded anatomy I've ever seen in my life. Okay? Honestly, it is. And that's okay. Klaus Janson, Frank Miller, or whatever. No, it's their style. That Bruce Timm animated shit, Batman that everybody loves so much, where Batman looks like Jay Leno and this big, like, broad barrel chest. That's no different than the absolute Batman that they're doing right now, Scott Snyder's artist. It's the same thing. It's a big old Batman with a little head. Looks like a Beetlejuice Batman. But that's okay. That's the way the artist is rendering it. Who cares? Who cares? It makes no difference. Bill Sienkiewicz can make a kingpin that was like 20 feet big with this huge body and this little tiny head. And everybody's okay with that. Everybody's okay with Art Adams, one of the most revered comic book artists of all time. The guy had no anatomically correct pictures. His legs were like this long, the torso was this long, heads were like that, eyes were like this, fingers like 10 inches long, like Arsenio Hall. Who cares? It's the way they drew. It's the way he drew. Plaque with 8 million veins. Who cares? If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. That's all there is to it. Humberto Ramos. Okay? Impulse to everything else he did. Weird looking fucking shapes. Madura, same thing. Just crazy anatomy. All over the place. Doesn't look anything like a real human being. It's not supposed to. It's a cartoon, man. So, you know. So again, things I like. I like Jack Kirby. I like Wonder Woman. I like the X-Men. So in review, make sure you're picking up Spider-Man Reign 2. It's fantastic. Make sure you're picking up at least the Jed McKay, Ryan Stegman X-Men, not the Uncanny, because I looked at that and I didn't like it so much. But that's just me. But I mean, the X-Men, this new book, if you like 90s X-Men, this artwork is fantastic. And anyone that says Stegman isn't doing a good job is retarded. Now, you like Geiger? You like Jeff Johns, Gary Frank? Pick up Geiger. I read a few of these, wasn't a big fan. To be honest with you, I like Junkyard Joe better, but that's comics I love. Again, this broadcast, this YouTube chat, this YouTube video is about the love of comics, not about anything that anyone dislikes. You know, pick up Rook Exodus, Ghost Machine, Jeff Johns, Gary Frank. I think it's great. This is Image Comics and Ghost Machine. You know, good stuff. I'm into 3 issues. I don't like the story so much. The artwork's great. The story isn't really grabbing me, so I might drop it. Doesn't matter. So what is it? Standstill is in my Dropbox at you know, in the in my LCS. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully people like it. Hopefully hopefully I like it. I'm waiting. Next time I go, I'm going to pick it up. This is why I love comic books. I love comics. I love making comics. I love reading comics. I love looking at the art. I'm not into collecting them. Okay. I'm really not. I don't care if I have a full run of this or that. Okay. I just want to pick up a book while I'm drinking a cup of coffee, while I'm taking a shit, while I'm, you know, doing whatever. And I want to read something that entertains me. And sometimes something that makes me think, something that maybe profoundly does something to me. I'm going to tell you something, a weird thing. This is my confession. I was talking about runs. I don't collect things. Well, I'm a big She-Hulk fan. Rainbow Rowell, whatever. I'm sorry about this foil cover. Sensational She-Hulk that picked up during COVID. They came out with just She-Hulk by the same author, same artist, and everything else. And it was Jen Walters, not really breaking fourth wall like Byrne, but a real cool, sexy, traditional depiction of She-Hulk. Very glamorous, very sexy. Came out around the time of the TV show. In this book, they ran like a year's worth of issues and then stopped it and then renumbered it at 1. And 10 issues of this book. I bought all 10 issues of this book. This series is ending with the 10th issue. Marvel's pulling the plug on it. I gotta tell you, it's a fucking shame because this is my favorite thing that I've read this year is Sensational She-Hulk. Almost a perfect Marvel comic book, in my opinion. Great characters, great story. Brought back some of the deviants from the Eternals in the book. You got Hellcat, Jack of Hearts. She's in love with the Jack of Hearts, and you know he gets reignited with Avengers. You know, after going bye bye with the whole what was it, Extinction or Avengers breaking up, or whatever that was called when they all got destroyed by Scarlet Witch. Um, good. It's a good book. Rainbow Rowell. I don't care if she's a feminist. I don't care if she's a lesbian. I don't care if she's a furry. This book, She-Hulk, Sensational She-Hulk, I collected every issue of it every month. And again, two reasons. One, I'm a She-Hulk fan. And two, from issue number one, it was good. It was fun. It was entertaining. It had like romance between Jack of Hearts and She-Hulk. And it had action, fighting, and it had a sexy Jen Walters She-Hulk. And it wasn't feminist. It wasn't woke. It wasn't anything. It was comic. It was a comic book. There was no agenda. There was no pandering. There was no nothing. It was just a good book. It was about her and her love affair with Jack of Hearts, and they went to space for a few issues. They hung out with Captain Marvel. They hung out with Hellcat. They hung out with the Avengers. And all the while, She-Hulk was doing her superhero adventures and also being an attorney. I don't understand why no one talked about it. And I'm going to get back to my point. No one talked about this series of She-Hulk, this run, because there was nothing controversial in it. So again, like Kari Andrews stated, if you take a swing and you do something weird, then people talk about it and it gets noticed. Again, backtracking to my absolute Batman conversation. Who cares that the logo's changed? Who cares about an Elseworlds Batman who's violent or is not rich or whatever? It doesn't matter. These characters are not real. Just love the comics. Love comic books. Start reading them again. Start backing crowdfunded campaigns like mine, like all the comic skaters, like all the other indie people, the Jimmy Palmiottis and the Amanda Connors and the Mark Millars, Keanu Reeves. Back whatever you want to back. Enjoy what you want to enjoy. Read Marvel and DC, and also read me and B.A. Turner and Richard C. Meyer and Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan and Aaron Lopresti and Shane Davis and even Eric July if you want. Don't know why you'd want to, because I don't care if, you know what, anybody says, oh, we put our books out on time, whatever. Well, you know what, I can go to the comic book store and buy 10 books for $35, and all 10 of them are better than that shit. That's the only negative I'm gonna have about indie creators. Cyberfrog 3, whether it takes another 2 months or another 2 years, it'll be worth the wait. Okay? Anything over 50 pages by a crowdfunder is a good comic book, because that's like 2 or 3 issues of a normal comic. Tom King's Black Canary that's going to come out. She's like fighting in a tournament, WWE style. I think that's a great idea, and they got a good artist. So, whatever, buy it, read it. If you don't like the first issue, don't buy it again. Okay, rip it up, throw it out, make a bad review, tell everybody on YouTube how much you hate it. Okay, tell it, and when Agnes whatever comes out, make sure you make a lot of videos telling everybody how much you hate it. Okay, how much you hate it. God forbid you like it. God forbid the thousands of people, the 500,000 people that saw the Eternals and actually liked it. Imagine if they made videos and talked about how good it was and how it was nice that Marvel was celebrating the legacy of Jack Kirby, who was born yesterday and created the whole fucking universe that you pontificate about on a daily basis and make money off of. I heard someone talk about, I don't know who it was, talking about, just because you don't like Disney, and I certainly don't. I hate Disney. But that doesn't mean I don't own Disney Plus, and it doesn't mean I don't watch stuff on Disney. Werewolf by Night, loved it. Moon Knight, hated it. Um, Hawkeye thing with what's her face, loved it. So much fun. It's fun. It's a fun show. Hate to tell you, The Marvels is a fucking good movie. It's not great, but it's entertaining and it's fun. There's no reason why it didn't make a lot of money other than people going on YouTube and telling people how much they hate Brie Larson and Marvel and MCU and all that crap. The fact that it had 3 females in the movie, there was not one feminist comment in the whole fucking film. Not one. It was just a fun movie. And it was a chick movie. But it wasn't a chick movie. It was a Marvel movie with some girls in it. So Marvel is going to have bad stuff. They're going to have good stuff. All right. Indie creators are not going to be consistent. I'm celebrating Jack Kirby in this stream, but at the same time, Jack Kirby made some clunkers too. Stan Lee wrote some bad scripts, bad dialogue. John Buscema had some shitty comics. John Byrne has a lot of shitty comics. Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, they all have shitty comics. The guys who did Love and Rockets, those brothers, they're the Hernandez brothers. They had some good issues and some shitty issues. Grant Morrison has written a lot of shit, and he's also written some fantastic stuff. Tom King has written some fantastic, amazing comics, and he's also written some not so amazing comics, in my opinion. The new Wonder Woman series that's running right now that he says he's going to try and do 100 issues, the art is fantastic. The storytelling is a slow burn. It's not a CW show, not a 2-hour movie. Okay. People forget that we used to not have short attention spans. See what I did there? We forget. We have a very short attention. We have a very short memory of what media used to be like. When you watched a TV show, there were 22 episodes in a season. And out of those 22, 16 were great, and about 8 of them were filler or comic relief or whatever. It's just the way it is. And when you look at a year's full of comic books, especially someone like a Bendis or a Tom King or Chris Claremont, people that are serious, even, I don't like him personally, but Mark Waid, even people that write comic books for a living and are true writers, they're looking at the long term. They're not looking at, here's 50 pages, I'm going to tell you everything in 50 pages. Sometimes they're building up, okay? And then sometimes after 20 issues, they go nowhere. And you're like, oh my God, I wasted my whole life. Oh my God, the tragedy, I wasted my time and money. It's a comic book, dude. And dudette, you don't have to buy it. No one's putting a gun to your head. Just don't buy it. Okay? Don't buy it. Don't give it oxygen if it's not for you. This is a common theme that you're going to see more and more YouTubers, artists, people that just like to debate. You're going to see this coming up a lot, I think, now, because the whole anti-establishment thing is now anti-establishment. Okay, and the problem is don't become what you despise, and negativity will do that for you. I don't want any negativity in my life. I've had enough. I've lost family members. I've lost my career, all in the last few years. And at some point, I've even lost my integrity and my love for comics. Well, for the love of comics, I'm now doing what I love to do. I don't want to talk about how much I hate things. I want to talk about how much I love things. And again, Rook, Spider-Man Reign 2, Geiger, Standstill, She-Hulk that just ended, the Ryan Stegman, Jed McKay X-Men title, Wolverine Revenge, Deadpool team up that comes out tomorrow, the new Conan book, Conan series, fantastic. These are things I think are worth reading. I really do. They may not be your cup of tea, but I'm going to tell you loud and proud, and I'm going to rejoice. These are the comic books that I fell in love with this month, this week, maybe even tomorrow. Indie spirit, whether it's Tim Vigil, Tim Tyler, whether it's Terry Moore, Bill Willingham, Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, indie creators, Brian Pulido, indie creators, Jimmy Palmiotti, Billy Tucci, Amanda Connor. Okay, that's my jam. Those are all my jams. Mark Silvestri. New Witchblade's out, I see. I haven't picked it up. Someone please tell me if it's good or not. I haven't looked at it or read it. And again, I am never going to admit to saying, oh, I didn't pick that book up or I'm not reading it because of what someone said about it. I will read something because someone said something positive about something, but never a negative. No one's ever going to dissuade me from buying an album, watching a movie, a TV show, or picking up a comic book because they didn't like it. Okay? But if you tell me that something is good, I'm interested in checking it out for myself. Okay? That's what life's about. That's what loving comics is about. I am not going to buy the new issue of Wonder Woman by Tom King or Absolute Batman by Scott Snyder. And again, the artist escapes me, which I apologize because art is more important to me than writing, I hate to tell you. But I digress. It is more important to me to know that a person like myself, and hopefully you out there watching this video, you're going to pick up a title that you're not reading, or you're going to crowdfund someone that you've never backed before because of something that was said positively and not something that was said negatively. I hear good things about this movie, so I'm going to go see it. Not this reviewer hated it, so it must be bad and I'm not going to see it. Anyway, please check back this weekend on all my social media outlets and see if I've launched Venerella #3. And please back it and support an indie artist like myself who needs it. I really need your help. I need your help crowdfunding and supporting my art. Um, because I love comics. So if you do anything, if you buy anything, if you back anything, or you post a video, YouTubers and fans and creators alike, do it for the love of comics and nothing else, because nothing else matters.